What was it? Oh wait, we got Dan Monty here. Hey Dan.
Hi, how are you?
Dan plays guitar with us on tour in the FCC, and he's a good friend. I'm sorry. Very nice person. It was amazing to produce my dad's record. It was actually the labor of love and one of the funnest things that I've done in the last few years. My dad has always he's played music growing up, but he couldn't kind of make it being a musician. He became a designer. He went into another art form, and to raise us, his family, and so later in his retirement, he was 72 when we recorded the record. It was like his dream come true, and so we did. And when I was growing up, and when I decided to take music on as my vision, or when music took me on as its vision, my dad was really supportive. He said, whatever you got to do, follow your dreams and do it. Whatever we have to do, we'll do it. And at the time, we weren't in the best place financially as a family. So that meant a lot to me, that belief, that encouragement. And so I wanted to kind of give back. Next question.
Sure. What inspired the album art for Elect the Dead? And do the objects on the cover hold any special meaning to you?
Why was that not with a German accent?
I couldn't do that whole thing in German.
What inspired the cover art on Elect the Dead, and what? Okay, the original cover art. There were a few variations, but the original cover art for the Elect the Dead record were licensed from a good friend of mine, Vahe Berberian, and he's a phenomenal artist. He's a painter. He puts together three-dimensional objects. He's a dramatist. He writes for theater. Comedies, written books in Armenian, and he's a very talented guy. He's actually here in the next room, and so I wanted to use some of his images, and the front cover image on Elected Dead, to me was very profound. When you look at the little angel with the blacked out eyes and in a cage, it just says so much, and I guess it's more for the viewer to interpret what that would mean to them, but it was very profound for me, so I decided to use that.
What are you afraid of, and what is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is fear itself. Daily. There's a lot of reasons to be fearful in life, but none of them really. It's not the way to go. Anytime that you follow fear, you always make the wrong decisions, I guess. Yeah.
Did you write a lot as a kid?
Come on, German accent.
What?
I want German accent.
I'm getting it from over here.
Oh, come on. Okay, all right. Well, how about this? The lighter stuff with the German accent, the kind of deeper stuff with with normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is somewhere in between, so I'll do half and half. Did you write a lot as a kid, or did you discover writing later in your life?
I started writing in my teens, late teens, I would say, through my 20s and until now, and so it's something I've done for a long period of time. Yeah.
Do you think there will ever be a presidential voting system that is driven by the people instead of driven by money?
Wow. That would be awesome. I think direct voting, first of all, without electors would be a start, and getting rid of K Street lobbying firms and everything that supports, giving corporate money or giant private donations by well-to-do individuals to candidates in any electoral system would be a great beginning for that.
Okay. Do you speak any other languages aside from English and Armenian?
I speak a little Spanish, and I'm trying to learn Italian. I'm really, Mario from our band, he's from Napoli, and I love the language, and I want to learn Italian. What can I say?
What is your advice to young activists in Armenia?
Young activists in Armenia, I was really enthused and encouraged by seeing, ecological activism and like young kids that are encouraging people to ride bikes in Yerevan. When we were there, we just played a show in Armenia in Yerevan, by the way, like a month ago roughly, and it was amazing. It was really over the top, and so we met all these kids these young people that are in an environmental movement to save this forest called Tegut Forest, and I'm encouraged seeing that kind of activism in young people, especially in the post-Soviet countries, post-communist countries, because it's a different thing there. It's like a new growing thing. I think that kind of grassroots kind of awareness, whether it's ecological, social, civic kind of awareness, really can build countries, and to me that's really encouraging.
Cool. Is it true that at one point you were working with the band Muse, and if so, how was it?
Nice.
Yeah,
nice switching to semi-Cockney. I'm not sure what accent that was, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, years ago, I became friends with Matthew and the guys. I saw them on tour in Europe at one of the major European festivals, and at the time they didn't have a record out in the U.S. They were, they were doing really well worldwide on the Origin of Symmetry record. Actually, George from my office, he brought that up to me, and so we were actually looking into signing them before Warner, that evil label. I'm just kidding, they're my label too. So yeah, so we were talking to them about putting them on Surgical Strike, and it didn't work out, but they're still great, and I love them, and we're friends, and it's all good. So yeah.
You ever get bored playing the same songs over and over?
I don't get bored because, like, when we play the songs live, we always kind of add a new element in, do a different kind of intro to the song, or every day you're in a different mood, and so you end up playing the song differently anyway. It's never the same. And we also change around the sets depending on how long our set time is. The festivals, for example, are shorter sets, so we play different things. And the headliners are obviously longer, so we get to play kind of everything and add on, like, last-minute covers and whatever. So, yeah.
Impromptu question. How did you and Dan start working together? Like, how did you meet?
I'll give this question to Dan.
We met through a mutual friend, an artist named Buckethead, who is... He's one of the most ridiculous guitar players on the planet, but a great guy. And Serj was producing and releasing a Bucket record, and Bucket brought me along to co-produce and engineer and do the whole thing with those guys.
Great record. Loved it. Loved making that record.
Oh, I lost. There we go. Which album of yours from any of your projects was the most fun to record?
Man, they were all fun to record. I mean, Elected Dead was great. Dan and I spent a lot of time in the studio and laughing a lot of Italian food, as I remember. And, we had a great time recording that. And then Elected Dead Symphony was awesome because it was a live orchestral show, and you were there as well. And let's do it. And so that was a whole new experience, playing with a live orchestra in New Zealand, and hearing them play my music for the first time, hearing a live orchestra play your music is as a composer, as a songwriter, is like the biggest thing. It feels like graduating. And and then recording in Perfect Harmonies was really interesting for me as well, because it's like recording 4 different records in one. You make the rock record with the live instruments, you have the electronic music and all the beats and samples, like making an electronic record, then you have the live orchestral, recordings and everything. So it was a lot of fun. And then Dan came in, played some guitars, and Mario and Troy came in, played some bass and drums, and we had some different singers. So it was quite fun. Yeah, they're all fun in different ways, I guess. Yeah.